But now let's return to the top story this week. Iran warning of catastrophic consequences, Israel preparing for a ground invasion of Lebanon. And joining me now live from Melbourne is former Labor Minister, former chair of a committee, I should say, Michael Danby. Michael, thank you very much for your time. Look, let's start with the international community approach here to call for a ceasefire rather than supporting the elimination of the terror threat. What do you think of this approach?
It's about time they enforce UN Resolution 1701, which promised during the last conflict in 2006 that the murderous militia Hezbollah would be withdrawn 30 kilometres from the Israeli border to the Litani River. That'd be a better beginning than calling for Israel to stand down after it's been forced into a military conflict with this Iranian proxy Hezbollah. So very nice for Penny Wong and Joe Biden to rabbit on about immediate ceasefires for 21 days. Where were they during the last 11 and a half months as the Iranian proxy lobbed missiles into northern Israel, depopulating it and forcing the border 20 or 30 kilometres south? Why doesn't Joe Biden, instead of talking this rubbish, enforce the congressionally mandated oil sanctions against Iran, which is paying for all of this, selling cheap Iranian oil to China for over the last 3 years of the Biden administration, has financed and funded Hezbollah, Houthis and Hamas. You don't have to go to war. You don't have to call for ceasefires. You don't have to enforce one rule on the Israelis. You have to enforce your own congressional legislation, Joe Biden. And I cannot understand how America lets the Suez Canal to be blocked, Israeli cities to receive missiles from these Iranian proxies, and then calls for ceasefires. The Israelis have to stand down and let Hezbollah rearm. It's rubbish.
Yeah, indeed. As the Wall Street Journal put it so well today, the US weakness is in part what's led to our enemies becoming so emboldened. But Michael, you've spent a lot of time in Ukraine as well since the war there began with Russia. We're seeing this is quite linked here. We're seeing the emerging axis of evil, Iran, China, Russia, North Korea, not so much in this sense, but supplying weapons, supporting each other in these wars. And I think it's something that not everyone has grasped, that there is this support of weaponry between Iran and Russia.
I wish candidate Trump saw things as clearly as you do, Shari. Of course there's this axis. The Iranians are providing these Shahed drones which are murdering innocent Ukrainian people all over that vast country of Ukraine. And the Iranians, Russia and China, together with North Korea, are all working hand in glove. But we had a catastrophic mistake from Zelensky today during the election to go to Pennsylvania and visit an ammunition factory, which really upset Trump. And Trump has virtually said that he will defund Ukraine if he's elected. So not good days for those of us who believe in a united democracies, a united free world, the United States working with NATO, and for Penny Wong and Biden to go rabbiting on against the only country that's fighting this axis of evil, Israel, is just completely counterproductive to our collective interest. It's not just an issue of Israel. And I think, as Gary Hargrave said, it's an issue that affects all of us. As Bob Hawke said, if Israel falls, the whole of Western civilization falls.
Yeah, indeed. The bell will toll for mankind, I think he said. Michael Danby, thank you very much for your time. And I completely agree with your point, by the way, about Donald Trump. Those comments today on Ukraine were horrifying, quite frankly. I mean, why isn't he standing there calling out Putin? Why is he putting all the pressure on Zelensky, who has been utterly heroic?
It's a victory for Tucker Carlson, unfortunately. This isolationist group seems to have influenced his brain.
It's terrifying. I don't know who's in his ear, but we need the Republicans, who are very strong on national security, to talk some sense into him, because the fact that Donald Trump stood up there today and put the pressure on Zelensky, whose country is under siege, who's been heroic in leading his people, in holding off Russia, and he's done such a good job. A lot of people thought Russia would be able to just sweep in and take over, and they haven't. Putin hasn't been able to do that.
They're laying down their lives, and all we're doing is providing them with the ammunition. The useless Albo government isn't even giving them weapons that we've got here for spare.
We're out of time, but like you, I despair at the leadership around the world, including in Australia right now.